The Jamie Dyer Show.
Right, you're listening to South Waves Radio, and we've got a little bit of a topical thing today. Will a 25p charge change Britain's throwaway coffee cup culture, said The Guardian in the last week. Basically, apparently, each minute in the UK, about 500 of those disposable cups that you get at places like Costa and Starbucks and stuff are being thrown away, and every year consumers use and dispose of 2.5 billion of them. The vast majority are not recycled. So the government have said, well, maybe we should start putting a 25p levy, or as they're calling it, a latte levy, to kind of encourage people to, one, recycle, and two, fund the future kind of research into how to make these better. Now, the 25p thing was quite interesting, and I was browsing around social media, and I discovered that the University of Winchester are already doing this. Now, we've got Liz, who is a representative from the University of Winchester, to talk to us about this. How did that come about?
Well, it takes us back to the summer of 2016, when we were looking at how we could reduce our dependency and usage of disposable coffee cups. Because in the academic year 2015-16, we used 191,000 disposable cups at the university. We have very good data. Our catering team, who are absolutely fabulous, track the sales of coffee cups, sales of drinks at the catering outlets on campus. So we knew we were using this number of cups, and we wanted to do something about that. Now, up until that point, we offered a 25p discount on drinks that were purchased in a reusable cup, and that's quite common. You see the discount, the incentive, the carrot approach at quite a lot of outlets. But interestingly, it wasn't really having a very big effect, and sales of drinks in reusable cups, in reusable mugs, were only at 3%, so only 3 drinks out of every 100 were being sold in a reusable cup. So that 25p discount, it was nice, but it wasn't really having a big enough effect. So in November of 2016, the environment team, which I'm part of, working with the catering team, decided to flip the pricing structure on sales of drinks, and we reduced the cost of every drink, the price of every drink we sold at outlets. We reduced it by 25p, and then effectively reintroduced 25p as an avert tax, an avert surcharge on top of the drink. So if you took a reusable mug along to the catering outlets, you would get your drink for the new price, the new standard price. Yeah. If you wanted your drink in a disposable cup, you were going to pay the tax on top. And it's fair to say that sort of change in the sort of psychology has drastically changed people's behaviour and the way in which they buy drinks at catering outlets. And so, as of the 31st of December 2017, so we now have a full year's data, we have saved over 40,000 disposable cups from being used, because people no longer want to, they don't want to pay that tax, or, certainly more people don't want to pay that tax, so they now bring a reusable cup with them. And sales of drinks on average across the catering outlets, sales of drinks in reusable cups are now at 33%. So basically a third of all drinks sold are now in a reusable cup, which is great news.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That's a brilliant turnaround. I mean, the fact that you've managed to encourage so many more people. When you say reusable mugs, I kind of get confused. Is this something that you buy at the outlet, or is this a mug from home that you bring?
We accept any mug that people want to bring with them. The teams at the tills will take any mug that's on offer and use that, so people will get their drink at the new price. But alongside, it's good. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because alongside the 25p surcharge, we implemented a sort of a second intervention, and we gave out free reusable mugs to anybody that wanted them. So we did originally, the catering team did have a Keep cup that you could buy at the till if you wanted. This was up until November 2016. You could buy a Keep cup, and then they started giving those away for free. And then we introduced a new branded reusable mug, and it was quite good fun in the sort of the late summer and autumn of 2016. We sort of road tested a number of different reusable cups because we wanted one that sort of was environmentally friendly itself as well. So there are lots on the market, and in fact I know that Guardian article you mentioned at the start, that featured, I think they'd also road tested a number of mugs to sort of encourage people, and we selected, after looking around at what was on offer, we selected a mug that's made by a company called Gumdrop. It's a Gumtech Americano mug, and the reason we liked it so much was because it's partly made of recycled chewing gum.
Right.
And which tends to get a really interesting reaction. It's sort of delight and disgust in equal measure.
Yes.
We tend to find. So we worked with Gumdrop to create a branded mug because we knew we were going to give. We've actually given away over 5,500 of these now over the last year to every sort of member of staff and every student who wants one. That's been a big sort of commitment from our senior management. They wanted to kind of really get behind this initiative, and so they committed to sort of supporting the purchase of these for us to then give away. What's nice about the Gumtech mug is that we collect chewing gum here on campus,
right,
and that chewing gum is going off and being recycled in part into these mugs. And certainly when you talk to students, they're really interested in that. They like the fact that they're sort of part of this closed loop recycling story. So that's kind of captured people's imaginations, and that's helped keep it, I think, in people's minds, and helped the sort of joined up approach between the environment team and the catering team over the sort of last 12 months or so has really really helped in promoting the scheme and seeing those savings that we've seen.
Well, yeah, and I think as well it encourages that recycling kind of mentality, which is what the whole thing is about anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'd like to now sort of, focus, or the environment team is sort of looking at what we can do elsewhere, because now we've sort of got people's attention with this, and our recycling rate at the university is pretty good. We're at 64%, so 64% of the waste we create is going off to different, for different sort of recycling end uses. But we know we can do more. We know we've still got plastic straws on campus in different places, and I'd really like to work on getting those removed. And I just want to give a mention to Portsmouth University, who have just banned plastic straws across their student union and across the rest of their university outlets as well. So it seems like we're moving in the right direction. And sometimes I think our initiative shows that sometimes you do need that stick approach.
Yeah.
And so we're fully supportive of what the Environmental Audit Committee published on Friday, because we know it works. We've got the findings and the figures to prove that surcharge is what you need, as has been the case with the bag tax, and we know the impact that the bag tax has had on our plastic carrier bags.
Yes, that's definitely changed things. To kind of round it off, but to go on to the national side of things, which I did say I was going to do. How do you think? Do you think that perhaps the methods that you've done would actually help on a national scale?
Yes, and actually one thing I did want to say was the early part of our findings, so up until January 2016, by which time we'd only been running the 25p surcharge for a couple of months, those early figures where we were starting to see the savings and the change in behaviour were sent to Cardiff University and actually featured in a report that they then produced for the Environmental Audit Committee's inquiry into packaging and disposable coffee cups. So we know that some of our findings made their way into that into that committee, into their inquiry, and hence we think that perhaps they saw that we were there were 7 institutions doing different interventions, or 7 companies, four of which were universities. 4 universities and 3 companies. We were the only ones with the 25p avert tax on all drinks, and we were the ones that had the biggest impact. So we were really pleased that those findings went to government, and hence on Friday that report was published. It was suggested that nationally, the UK, if it introduced a sort of a surcharge, could save up to 300 million cups a year. I think it was between 50 and 300 million cups a year. Our figures suggest that, in fact, if other outlets did the same as we're doing, and if you could sustain sales at a third, so if a third of all drinks were sold in reusable mugs across the UK, across all outlets nationally, you should be saving somewhere in the region of 825 million cups a year. So it could be a lot bigger, I think, than perhaps was initially calculated. So yes, absolutely, we think there's some real world significance to our project, and are very keen to, we're very interested to see what happens next nationally.
Well, it's amazing to see that you're leading the way in this, and it's a fantastic thing. And not only in terms of the amount of disposable cups used, I should think it also takes down the manufacture of them as well, which will save money at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. And we have looked at, as you mentioned at the start, because so few cups are recyclable, and we have looked at the options out there because. We do want to. We know people are still going to use disposable cups, and if they do, we do want them to be recyclable. But it seems like there's still a bit of work to do in the industry, or within the suppliers and the manufacturers to make those recyclable. And there is only a couple of suppliers out there that are making a recyclable cup. They have to go to only a couple of specific places in the UK where they can be dealt with, and we just weren't satisfied that it was probably the right solution. We really should be focusing on reuse and reduction of a cup that's going to eventually be thrown away or recycled. So we have made a saving on those cups that we haven't used. Longer term, perhaps we'll be able to switch all of our disposable cups to something more recyclable, or something that is recyclable, but we wait really for the manufacturers, and I think that's the challenge, obviously, that government will want to set, that the money is invested, or we use that, ring-fence that tax and use it for sort of research and development into better sort of containers and cups.
Yeah, and to think it all started with the University of Winchester, which is fantastic. Which is fantastic.
Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you. As I say, Liz, thank you very much for coming on today, and
you're very welcome.
All the best with future research as well, because this sounds like a problem that's come over in recent years, but something that can definitely change. So thank you for your work, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
The Jamie Dyer Show.